Hi guys, welcome back to Irish Footy Vlogs. Welcome back to another, I suppose, a squad announcement or squad reaction video, Daz, today. Republic of Ireland obviously take on Azerbaijan in a qualifier on the 9th. Then they take on Qatar, which is a home actually on the 12th. But we're going to do a preview for the Azerbaijan match, certainly, anyway, when it gets near the time. But today we're just going to actually talk about the squad. Before we talk about individuals and your thoughts, etc., I'll just go through some of the points, I suppose. Will Keane has received his first international call-up. Stevens, Knight and Ogbena all return following injuries. Seamus Coleman and obviously Darragh O'Shea are ruled out. So I'll just go through them quickly. Goalkeepers, Bazunu, Kelleher, Travers. Defenders, Doherty, Christie, Duffy, Egan, Stevens, McLean, Manning, Bamadele. Got that right, didn't I? Collins, still struggle with that one. Midfield, we've got Horan, Cullen, Hendrick, Knight, McGrath, Arter. And forwards, we've got Robinson, Connolly, Collins, Horgan, Ida, Parrish, Keane, and Ogbena. Obviously, some of them are wingers. But your initial thoughts, I suppose, to that squad announcement?
Yeah, look, I suppose, firstly, with the goalkeepers, no real surprise, bar obviously he left Ranulph out again. I don't really blame him. Ranulph should get a move if he wants to get playing. The other three goalies didn't let him down, when they're in the squads. Obviously, Bazunu played the last few games, but he did very, very well. That deserves to be fully 100% number one for the games going forward anyway, at the very least. Obviously, Kelleher is there, number two at Liverpool. And so, obviously, had a good game against Norwich, but be starting for Ireland by any means. Just one good game shouldn't get you into the match. To be playing consistently if he wants to get in my opinion. And then, Travers is an interesting one. He's played, I think it's nearly every game for Bournemouth this season. He's kept clean sheets, and, Bournemouth are at the upper end of the championship. And if they go up this season, he could be number one there. So he's playing consistently in the championship. Bazunu's in League One, but Bazunu's probably going to go with. So there's an argument there for Bazunu, or for Travers, maybe to get in, but obviously Bazunu hasn't let us down, so he should be starting anyway. I suppose looking at the defenders then, there's no real surprise at the backs, but obviously Coleman's out, so it's good, he's gone, but it's good to see Stevens is back in from his injury. He's a dependable left back. We all know what he can do. He's a good player. Bamadele, we know he's a good player. He's played well for Ireland. It's good to have him back in the team. I suppose for myself, I was a bit disappointed that Kieran Clarke was left out. I know a lot of people will say that he hasn't, been the best player for Ireland, or he's not really, a top quality player. He is playing consistently with Newcastle, so why was he left out? I'm a bit disappointed with that. Worth mentioning, John Egan's got into the team at the week twice now. I think it's in a row.
Scoring goals.
Yeah, he's coming up with the goals too, and so is Duffy. Centre back scoring goals, but it's good to see they're all in form. So that's good. Obviously, Doherty's there too. He'll probably come in at right back. Looking in midfield, then. There's no real surprise.
Actually, just before we move on, Daz, I'll just quiz you on this. You were talking obviously about Kieran Clarke there, which is fair enough. But as a matter of interest, say you were to put him in the squad, who would you leave out? Would you leave out young Nathan Collins, or would you leave out someone like, say, Christie or Manning?
Probably leave out Christie, to be honest with you. He's just never done it for Ireland. He's not really that best of a club player. I know Martin O'Neill's put him centre midfield a few times, but he had better options. That didn't really work out either. But I think he's a better player than him, and he has played left back a few times too, and he has played defensive midfield at club level, so he can actually play a range of positions. So for that reason, I'd have him in the team.
Because there is enough cover at full back. We've got Doherty, Stevens, Manning, and McLean, even without Christie. And even Bamadele can play on the right as well if you needed to. So it's not as if he's put Christie in, let's say, ahead of Clarke because we're low on fullbacks. That's not the case either. So I'd probably agree with you there. I'd probably go for Clarke ahead of Christie as well. But I suppose moving on to midfield, Horan, Cullen, Hendrick, great to see Knight back. Will he be fit enough is a question. McGrath and Arter. Is there anything different you would do there?
I think, bringing in Arter is a bit of a surprise. He's not really setting the world alight. He's in League One again with Charlton. And, I would be watching League One and Championship myself, and I'd be keeping an eye on the Irish players. And he's getting in and he's playing the odd game. It's not like he's setting the world alight. He's not coming up with goals. He's not making assists, I don't know. I'm a bit disappointed maybe that he's after including him. I don't know what he warrants to get in the team. There is a range of players that, he just didn't include that are playing in the Championship and League One. I suppose, maybe this lad would put him in the forward, but Scully wasn't included. He does play in the wing and up front, so would you include him as a midfielder or a striker? That's up to you, or you as the manager. But maybe he's more of a forward player. But
I think most of these midfielders are named. They're essentially central midfield players, aren't they?
They're all central midfielders, 100%. And I think we could nearly name out the 3 midfielders he'd probably go with. Some people were questioning James McCarthy, but I think he's come off an injury with Celtic already. He's after picking up a knock. So, that kind of puts him out.
I think he's kind of gone in reality. The injuries he's had, worse than Robbie Brady, even another player, obviously, who still hasn't got a club. But I think just the injuries McCarthy has had constant. When you're getting injured like that as well, you can never get to your best or be confident or, his days. Unfortunately, I think a fit James McCarthy over the last few years would probably get in my team, never mind squad, but it's not going to happen in reality, isn't it? No, you have to be able to play games, and it's a struggle for him, unfortunately.
Yeah, definitely, and that's where we're at with this squad at the minute. It's good to see Knight back, obviously, as well. He's a good young player. He's hopefully going to be a consistent player for Ireland in years to come. He's come back into the Derby team and he is starting to play.
It's ruined he doesn't injure him again.
Yeah. Obviously, Derby have their own injury woes. It could be on the move. Who knows? But
a lot of problems there with administration now, financial issues there. Yeah.
But the thing is, he is playing there. So that's important. We are players playing. So that's good.
Yeah, just looking at there, I'd probably have him actually in my team if he was fit enough as well. I'm not really sure. He's only played 1 or 2 games actually, hasn't he, since he's gone back as well. So, but he's one of those players that he's intelligent. He's not a player necessarily who's going to get the ball and spray passes left and right. But he joins the attack. He gets back in defence. He seems to understand the tactical side of the game very well. A great engine on him as well. A fit Knight, for me, is actually huge for this Irish team going forward. And he's obviously a key player for Derby as well. Arguably their best player, to be fair. But yeah, you're looking at the forwards then. I suppose we'll talk about more wingers first, because you'd imagine, obviously, Horgan, Ogbene, who's back, and Connolly and Robinson are the 4 that you would consider are likely to be chosen out wide if he plays that system. And obviously Connolly had his critiques the last time. He hasn't been getting in at Brighton. He's a strange one for me because I think he does an awful lot very well. He gets into good positions. He tries to take on players. What's letting him down ultimately is bit of panic in front of goal and the decision making isn't always the best. But you see him and you say, there's something there. It's a rough diamond. We have to get something out of him because he is capable of, getting into spaces and making good runs and things like that. It's just that final, whether final ball, decision making in his head or finishing. He seems to snatch at chances as well. But he's a curious one, isn't he, a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, looking at this Ireland team, one thing that is missing is experience. Looking back on previous teams, last 4 or 5 years, every position had one experienced player. If you want to look at it that way, you had a experienced goalie, you had experienced defenders, experienced midfielders, and experienced forwards. And it's great to have a complement of experience and younger lads coming through. But that's not always the case, and it's certainly not the case here. We don't have really any experienced players that's going to start. Realistically, we don't, and especially the forwards are all very, very young. They're all raw. They're all just learning the trade. They mightn't even be strikers in years to come, and they might change this for different kind of players in different kind of positions. But that's absolutely true. But Connolly, I think for me, he lacks composure in front of the goals. He panics a bit. He just can't find the back of the net at times when he really should be. There's been a few games with Ireland gone by where he probably should have had 1 or 2 goals in the last 2 games. He drops
the head fairly quickly as well, which is never good. Just forget about it. Next one. Yeah.
But I think though, Ogbene, when he came on that few minutes and got that goal, that was good to see. And I really hope he actually plays a part over these few games, gets his chance to come back in. He obviously wants to represent the Republic of Ireland. That's excellent to see. I hope he does make an appearance for Ireland. I suppose
that's something we've been missing as well. It's that kind of raw pace, because it's amazing what raw pace can do. I mean, for a midfield player for a start, if they see Bennett making a run, you don't have to do much with a pass or anything like that. Just hit it by him, run onto it. We've missed that, I think, raw pace. And that's what Connolly does give us a little bit as well. He's got that bit of pace, which is why he plays. Maybe Horgan wouldn't be as quick and that kind of thing. You know what I mean? But Ogbene definitely gives us a different variation of play, I think, doesn't he? He's blind and base,
Definitely does. He's strength and power and pace, and that's exactly the type of player you want to come on in a team. If you're a goal down, or if you're chasing the game, or you need to defend differently, you need to defend from the front because the team you're playing against are very technical and want to pass the ball around. You need someone who's going to press and move the team and try and shift the play one way to try and win possession back. And he's definitely a player you could bring on to do that kind of a job. And even the likes of Collins, who's tall and tall and strong, but hasn't got lots of pace, it'd be great to have beside him on a wing or even up front beside him as a striker. It'd be excellent to have another player like that coming in. I suppose looking at another player that's come into the team that many people might know is Will Keane. This was one that raised eyebrows. Scully, with Anthony Scully, that everyone has been talking about. He has 10 goals in the same league as Will Keane. Will Keane is 4. Why did Stephen Kenny leave him out? A lot's like to mention that Scully's younger than Keane, so it doesn't really make sense in my book. Why on earth would you leave him out? I'm absolutely, I just can't answer that. Why would you leave him out?
Yeah, it just seems strange. Scully, as you say, is a player on form as well, and Keane has had injury problems as well. Another interesting facet, I think, is I don't think Parrott. We'll obviously do a preview, but I can't see Parrott really starting. He's playing League 2, isn't he? Or League 1 rather, with MK Dons. He's doing okay, but he's doing okay. Ida has done really well in the game, so he has, because he does a lot of work. He can hold it up, but running those channels, he can be isolated at times. But there's an argument when you study the last number of games that Ireland played. Ireland put a lot of crosses into the box. There's an argument that maybe that's more suited to Collins' game, but I have a feeling Kenny doesn't really want to play like that. It's just worked out like that. So there's a little bit of a bit of a tension thing going on there. It's hard to understand that, really, isn't it?
Yeah, not to go too much off topic because we're doing obviously a squad reaction, but I do think Kenny needs to be open to playing different. We just can't keep playing out the back. Bennett's got so much pace. What's the harm in putting the ball up to wing, letting him run onto it? And what's the harm in putting Collins, getting him into the box and getting the crossed in? We get goals like that. Loads of teams play like that and get goals there. You don't have to play that the whole time. But what's the harm in bringing on Penny on and Collins on and changing the game up and playing like that? I think that's something Kenny needs to work on as a manager himself and utilise the players that we have. They all can't play the same way. They all have different strengths and different ways of playing. But I definitely think he should change up how he plays to suit them kind of players, because Bennett is very fast and Collins is good in the box and he's good with his head and stuff, and he's good at holding the ball up if we're going to play with him. So I do think he needs to change it up that way if we're going to play with him. But look, I'm absolutely gobsmacked that he left Scully out. I'm very disappointed he left him out. I just don't know why. Why would you leave him out? Why? I just don't know. Why would you leave him out?
Yeah, it's one, I can't answer that, unfortunately, either. But particularly, as you say, to bring Will Keane in, who's kind of coming out of the blue. But you'd love to know sometimes in general what way people are actually thinking when they see things as well. Maybe there's a good explanation, and if they told us, we go, you know what? But it's hard to see it, let's be honest. But guys, look, we'll leave it there. That's our squad reaction. We'll obviously do a preview closer to the time. Thanks for watching. Let us know what you think of the squad and some of the talking points we brought in there in the comments, and subscribe if you're new. Hit your bell notification button and give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed this content. Thanks again, Daz. Excellent stuff. Olé, 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 olé.